Hey everybody, I'm back in the bus and I wanted to take this opportunity to just do a quick video running down these boards that you see here. This is all of my interior framing, or strapping as it's referred to, and I wanted to just take a second to walk you through what I did. I'm not going to make a full video of me doing it because it's pretty straightforward and honestly kind of boring. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Hey there. How'd you get out? What you doing? Okay, well, have fun. We have a cat door and she can fit through the cat door, so she tends to let herself out when she wants to. This is the framing. There, video done. Nah, just kidding. What I did for the framing is not necessarily typical from a construction framing standpoint, and it's actually a strategy that I saw done online. I think it worked out pretty well, although I don't know if this is the best way to do that. Bear with me. So what I did, instead of using traditional framing lumber, like 2x4s, 2x3s, I instead got sheets of 3/4 inch ACX plywood and ripped them down to 2-inch wide by 8-foot long strips. And you'll see here, these are doubled up 3/4 inch strips of plywood. So I got 1 3/4 inch strip there, 1 3/4 inch strip there, to make an 1.5 inch thick single piece. I tied the first layer of 3/4 inch plywood to each rib of the bus with a wood to metal screw. Now that's what this is right here. It's a self-drilling wood to metal screw. Makes it really easy to pierce through metal. It holds really well. And it's a star bit head, which is very nice because these just do not strip. And it's a countersinking head. That's important because you don't want, a screw head to be sticking out the top of your board when you go to put your second board down. And then for the second layer, I tied it to that first layer of plywood with these 1.25 inch star head bit countersunk wood to wood interior screws. And I don't know if that's the best option for this application, but it works just fine for me. And I put just about a gazillion screws in there, so I don't think it's going anywhere. But I made sure to stagger the seams. Of course, you definitely want to stagger your seams, so you'll notice that this is where 2 of my strips line up, but there's no seam right behind here. You don't want your seams to line up for both of your layers because that's going to make a really weak union there. You definitely want all of your seams to be staggered, or as staggered as possible. You'll notice they're all staggered there. That's pretty easy to do, honestly. I would just take my first, strip layer and just do a full 8-foot long strip. Let's see, where's that end? Right there. And I would just keep doing 8-foot long until I came up to something like a window that I had to frame around. But then that second layer that I did, I just took a cutoff piece, put it on the end there, and then just continued on with 8-foot long strips until I, ran into a window or something like that. And it worked out really well. It's actually really, really sturdy, and I'm pretty happy with it. I did something different for the ceiling though. You might be able to see just from looking at it that is not plywood. And you're right, these are actually 1x3 furring strips. And the only reason I switched it up and did furring strips for the ceiling and did plywood for the walls is because I went to go get a couple extra sheets of plywood to do my ceiling, a few weeks ago. And I got it back, ripped them all down to 2-inch sections, and ended up having really weak strips. I would pick the first one I picked up off the ground to, mount to my ceiling. It just snapped in half in my hand, and then the rest of them would just snap at basically the lightest touch. So I was pretty ticked. Luckily I got my money back, but I went ahead and changed my tactic a little bit and figured that these furring strips would work well enough. Even though it ended up being a little bit more expensive than doing plywood again, it was a lot easier because I didn't have to spend, hours ripping down sheets of plywood to 2-inch sections. So I could just bust them out of the bundle, put one up, and then continue down the line. Pretty darn easy, honestly. It's nothing crazy. But back to what I said about not being sure that this is the best way to do it. This is a good way to do it, in my book. Is it time consuming? For sure. It would be a lot easier to go to Home Depot and grab some 2x4s or 2x3s and just slap one of those on all the way down and not have to double up your layers, for sure. And honestly, if I could go back, I would probably just do the entire bus with these furring strips just because of how strong the ceiling ended up being and how easy it was compared to ripping down all those sheets of plywood. Just to prove the strength of these ceiling boards, These things are freaking strong, man. And what makes them so much stronger, I think, is the fact that I doubled up these layers and staggered the seams. If I would have just done one layer, I don't think it would have been good of a finished product. And the other nice thing about doubling these up is it gives me more room for insulation. So you can see here all this potential room for insulation. This is about 3¼ to 3½ inches of insulation capabilities from the exterior wall. The entirety of the walls, so like this wall and this wall, I used about 4 sheets of plywood, I think, and that ended up being about $200, $220. And then for the ceiling here, I used, I think, about 50 to 60 furring strips, which ended up being a little bit more expensive, I think. I think in total I spent about $400 to $500 on framing. So, you know, kind of expensive, but not terrible. I don't know, it works for me. It might not work for others, but it works for me. So that's about it, honestly, nothing crazy. So let me know what you think about that. I think it turned out pretty well, but like I said, I think there might be other better ways to do it, and maybe even cheaper ways to do it. That's about it for this video. Like I said, quick and easy. You might be able to tell that I have some wires in the bus now, and that's kind of the next step that I'm doing right now. I'm trying to rough in all my wires. I've also got the solar panels all wired up together, and the wires are inserted here. They're not fully connected to the panels now, so these wires aren't live, which is good. So I'll make a quick little video showing how I wired those up as well, and I'll put that out if it's not out already. So let me know what you think. If you have a better way of doing this, let me know. I'm sure there are better ways to do it, but this way worked out for me, and I think it could work out for other people as well. So I will see y'all in the next one.